Hello everyone, this is Peppermint. So this is the second video in my Canning 101 series. Also check out my Newbie Canner series. Newbie Canner is where I was a new canner and you could learn from my mistakes, and some of them are kind of humorous. But I'll probably have a video on all of my mistakes all in one. But Canning 101 is a beginner series. And so I'm starting out with beans. And here we go. Now when you're cooking or canning dry beans, then you should always go through your beans before you start to pull out any rocks or debris that could be lingering around inside your little baggie. There could be just an ugly bean, and you don't want no ugly bean in your canning, so get those ugly beans out. These beans that I'm canning here is a little bit of a mixture of red beans and black beans. You do them both just the same, but I didn't mix them on purpose. I was just a little bit colorblind. And there's all the beans that I'm going to can this time. So I am washing these beans. I don't want no dirty beans in my canning, and I am washing them. By the way, here's the beans that I pulled out of this bag. I was lucky enough that there weren't any rocks. So now I am putting the beans into boiling water. This is a quick soak. So I'm going to boil these beans for 2 minutes. And here's my timer, 2 minutes. Okay, now that 2 minutes is up, I'm just picking up the pot and moving it onto a cool heating element. And now these beans will soak for 1 hour. And during this 1 hour period of time, I am getting set up to can. I'm checking my gasket for any rips or tears. And I'm just looking at my lid, making sure that everything is working properly. I'm putting on my dial gauge. This video will be dial gauge plus it will be weighted gauge. It's both in one. So if you use your weighted gauge, please don't let this part of the video scare you off. It's actually pretty helpful for the dial gauge to be there. I'm using the Presto 23 quart pressure canner. It does not matter if you're using the 23 quart or the 16 quart. You will need 3 quarts of water in either one. There's the second one, and there's the third quart. That's all. Still getting ready. I'm bringing out my utensils and something to put my jars on. So now the time is up. It's been an hour already. So I'm just going to take these beans and I'm going to pour the water off. I have a strainer in the sink. Look at that dark water. That is some dark water. Yes, sirree. Yes, it is, my friends. Very dark water. Now I'm going to put some fresh water into that stock pot. And make sure that you put enough water in there because you'll be boiling it for another 30 minutes. And you'll also need some extra water to fill into the jars. So that's what I'm doing right here. I'm getting some extra water. Here I am bringing the stock pot back to a burner where I can turn the burner on and boil these beans for 30 minutes. So now they've started boiling, and I am setting the timer for 30 minutes. And I'm also turning the burner to a lower heat, by the way, but they still need to boil. After about 15 minutes, I usually start filling up my sink full of jars. I use the hottest water that my spigot will give me. And you do not have to sterilize your jars anymore. The USDA has approved it so that unless you are processing less than 10 minutes, then you do not have to sterilize your jar. Your pressure canner or your water bath canner will take care of anything that's on them. So now I have moved the beans over to a heating element that has a lower heat. Medium is what I'm using. And I am filling up these jars. I'm using a half teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and I'm filling up the jar to 1 inch headspace. And then I am filling up the jar with water to 1 inch headspace. I'm using pint-sized jars, by the way. This is pint size, which is 2 cups. But if you're using quart-sized jars, then it will be the same headspace. You just fill it up to 1 inch headspace, both the beans and the water. Now, if you're totally new, then you might be asking yourself the question, what is headspace? Well, 1 inch headspace would mean that you fill the jar up except for 1 inch from the rim. Now I am debubbling this jar with a wooden dowel. It is very important that you do this, because if you don't, then it will affect the headspace in the jar later on. Next, I'm going to get ready to wipe the rim with a paper towel I have dipped in the sink with the hot water. You want to do that because if you don't, then there could be something on the rim that will prevent your product from sealing. And you don't want to go through all that work and then it not seal. Wipe your rims. Next, I put on the flat, which is often called the lid, and then also the ring. And now it is ready to go in the canner. There's the canner. I got it filled up. And to put the lid on, you want to match up the 2 V's that are on the lid and the canner. And then you will turn the lid clockwise. Next, I have turned the heat all the way up on high, and then I am getting ready to watch for the steady stream of steam. And that is what it looks like. It will be shooting up. Once you see the steady stream of steam, then you will need to wait 10 minutes, and then you will put the weight on. Now my weight is set for 10 psi. That is because of my altitude. My altitude is below 1,000 feet. So if your altitude is above, you will need probably 15 psi weight. Please read the manual to your canner, especially if you have something different than what I have. Now, after you put your weight onto the canner, it won't be but just a few moments later, and your weight will start to move. And when your weight starts to move, that is when you can set your processing time. That is also when you may need to turn your heat down and adjust it, because the weight should not be moving at a fast pace. It should be moving at a fairly slow pace. You'll just have to find that right spot, and every stove is different. And so once you find the right spot, then just kind of stay nearby to your canner. You do not want to desert your canner at this point. So the processing time for dry beans is 75 minutes for pints and 90 minutes for quarts. So that is how long I will be waiting for the processing time to go by. So here in the video, the processing time is over, and all I'm doing with my electric range is I am taking the canner off of the burner and just removing it from the heat source. And I'm just going to leave the canner just as it is to cool down until the pressure is at 0. Now this will take a little while, but in the video the pressure has come down, and I'm looking for it to be right at 0, and the dial gauge is at 0, and the air vent cover lot has fallen. So I am taking the weight off of the vent pipe, and I am setting the timer for 10 more minutes. And I will wait 10 more minutes before removing the lid. In the video, the 10 minutes has gone by, and I am just looking over everything on my lid. And I really should have some oven mitts on my hands right now, but I didn't at the time. But always open your lid so that steam cannot get in your face. And just take your time and be slow with it. And now it is time for these beans to come out, and there they are. Finally done. So if you've enjoyed my video, how about hitting that subscribe button and the like button? And while you're at it, you may as well hit the bell so you can be notified when I have new videos. So thank you for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.